All right, let's dive into the fascinating and honestly super relevant ideas of John Holt. He was an educator who didn't just want to fix schools, he wanted to imagine a world beyond them. His book, Instead of Education, is this radical vision of what that world could actually look like.
So let me just kick this off with a question that I bet is going to hit home for a lot of you. Have you ever had that feeling? That sense that the most important stuff you ever learned had absolutely nothing to do with a classroom? Well, John Holt basically built his entire philosophy on that one powerful idea.
Holt's first big target is what he called the myth of learning. His argument is that we've done this really weird thing in modern society. We've taken learning, this thing that humans do constantly, naturally, and we've locked it away in a special building. We've totally separated it from real life.
And this is where the real damage gets done. According to Holt, sticking learning in this box teaches us three really toxic myths. First, that if you want to learn anything that matters, you have to go to a school and get an official teacher. Second, that learning is going to be a grind. It's supposed to be boring and painful. And third, and this is the real kicker, even after all that, you probably won't learn it anyway. I mean, wow, it's like a perfect recipe for convincing people they're bad at learning. And this quote just nails his whole counterargument. For Holt, there's no such thing as a non-learning experience. It doesn't exist. We're learning all the time, from everything we do. The real question isn't if we're learning, it's what we're learning. Is this experience making us wiser and more capable, or is it making us more ignorant and afraid?
And Holt wasn't just talking theory. He lived this. He didn't learn about civics from some textbook. He learned about politics, law, and economics because he was trying to do something real. He was fighting to stop his neighborhood from getting steamrolled by a corrupt development deal. The learning was just a natural part of achieving a real-world goal he cared about.
And that idea flows right into his next core principle, which is just so simple and powerful. If learning isn't this separate thing we do in a classroom, then what is it? Well, for Holt, the answer is easy. Doing is learning. They're not two different things. They're the exact same thing.
He uses his own journey learning the cello to explain this. He says we have this crazy idea that first you learn to play, and then, later, you actually play. But it's nonsense. From the very first horrible screechy note you make, you are playing the cello. You just get better at it by doing it more. There's no other way.
I mean, just think about a baby learning to walk, right? That little kid isn't practicing for some future marathon. He's not getting ready to walk later. No, he is walking right now because he wants to get to that toy or to his mom across the room. The purpose is immediate, and the learning just happens inside of that purpose.
So here's the big shift in thinking. Even things like history or physics aren't just big piles of facts you have to memorize. They're verbs. They're things people do. History isn't a book. It's the act of digging into the past and asking questions. Physics is the act of exploring how the world works. Knowledge isn't something you have. It's something you do.
Okay, so this brings us to one of Holt's most famous ideas, and it's brilliant in its simplicity. He draws this massive distinction between two kinds of learning worlds, and he does it just by changing a capital letter to a lowercase one.
Let's really break this down, because this is the heart of his entire argument. On one side, you've got the capital S, school. That's the system. You're forced to be there. Its main job is to judge you, rank you, and hand out diplomas that are basically job tickets. It keeps a permanent record on you that it shares with colleges and employers. But on the other side, you have a lowercase s, school. This is a resource. You choose to go there for your own reasons. It's not there to judge you. It's there to help you do something you want to do. It serves you and only you.
And the funny thing is, these little S schools, they are everywhere. Think about it. Nobody makes you go to driving school. You go because you want to drive a car. You take a cooking class or go to a karate dojo because you have a personal goal. People go to these places willingly, enthusiastically, to learn something they actually care about.
So what does a society look like if it's filled with these voluntary schools instead of the big, coercive S schools? Holt's vision isn't about getting rid of learning places. It's about filling the world with what he calls resources for doers. And get this isn't just some fantasy. Back in the 70s, a real-life project called the Learning Exchange basically did this. It was like a matchmaking service connecting people who wanted to learn something with people who wanted to teach it. By 1974, they had a list of 2,000 different topics. 2,000!
And just look at the wild variety here. Acupuncture, Alfred Adler, carpentry, computer programming, welding.
I mean, you had retired welders teaching teenagers a real, valuable skill. You had a high school dropout teaching a computer programmer Spanish, who then taught him programming in return. This is what it looks like when learning is decentralized and driven by the community itself.
Holt saw this amazing potential in places we already have, especially libraries. He imagined them as these vibrant community hubs, houses of culture, he called them, where it wasn't just about borrowing books. It was about giving everyone free access to tools for creation, printing presses, film cameras, recording gear, art galleries, stages, places for doing things, not just consuming them.
So, if you change the school, you obviously have to change the role of the teacher. And just like before, Holt uses that simple capitalization trick to draw a huge distinction between two totally different kinds of educators.
So the capital T teacher has official authority. Their power comes from the system, the power to give grades, to punish, to reward. You can't just walk away from them. Their job is to make you meet some external standard. But a lowercase t teacher, their authority is completely different. It's natural. It comes from their actual experience, their wisdom, and the trust they've earned. You choose them, and you're free to leave. Their goal isn't to judge you. It's to, and I love this phrase, loan you a piece of themselves to help you on your own path.
So for Holt, real teaching is an art. It's the art of setting up a task so the learner can actually handle it. It's about giving clear feedback, like holding up a mirror so they can see for themselves what to fix. And, maybe most importantly, it's about giving them the emotional support to take risks, because you can't learn anything real without taking risks.
And this quote about the cello just brings it all home. When Holt wanted help, he already had standards in his head. He knew what great cello playing sounded like. He didn't need a teacher to judge him against those standards. What he needed were ideas, tips, and techniques to help him close the gap between where he was and where he wanted to be. The goal was his own.
So, as we pull all this together, it is so important to realize that John Holt wasn't just another guy with ideas about how to make schools better. His vision was way, way bigger than that.
At the end of the day, this is about building a society that actually trusts people, a society that assumes we are all born curious and competent, a world where learning isn't something you do to prepare for life. Learning is living and working and being an active part of your world.
So in the end, he just flips the main question of education completely upside down. He wants us to stop obsessing over how can we teach people stuff and start asking a much bigger, much more interesting question. How can we provide more of the world to everyone? More access, more tools, more opportunities?
And that's the question he leaves for all of us. If you took these ideas and applied them right where you live, in your community, what kind of resource for doers would you create? What skill could you share? What door could you open for someone else? It's a pretty powerful thought to end on.